Yo, yo, yo. Hopefully everybody's had a good day. My portfolio is definitely enjoying day number 2 of recovery here. Up probably about 80,000, maybe a little bit more between all of my accounts. Crypto is really the stuff driving that today. You'll see some of that in a second. I did want to point out, though, too, that Tesla calls have been recovering quite nicely down at the bottom here. SoFi had a decent bounce with calls. Usually the calls kind of precede the price action in the stock. So I'm happy to see that people are getting interested in going long there. And PayPal was up. I was up 11,000 in those today too. And then we had a nice recovery in some of the miners. So Bitfarms earnings were today. I thought they were fine. They had like a one-time cost. Outside of that, everything kind of looked like it was in order. Now I know that Cipher mining took like a 5.8% drop today too, and then Bitfarms took about 5%. CleanSpark recovered at 7.51% up on the day, which is great. And then Mara was down 3.63. So CleanSpark is just the leader, which is why it makes up the bulk of my mining investment. I think I have a $500,000 in it right now. I've got at least almost 400,000 in this account. So again, there's a reason for that, right? But I did buy pretty heavily today. I'll show some of that in the portfolio in regard to miners. I picked up quite a bit. Also, Ethereum is starting to take off. It looks like we're getting close to 4,000, which is also great. Again, just looking at this portfolio, this isn't all of them, but this is some of it. Note Solana has been taking off, up 13% on the day. Love that. Ethereum, this must not have updated recently because, here, let me just refresh real quick. Real fast. Let's see if it works. Does it work? Go here, come back. Come on, babe. All right, there we go. All right, so yeah, Ethereum is up. Yeah, I was going to say it was closer to 4,000. So Solana's up 12%. Ethereum's starting to finally make its run towards 4,000. And you can see some others really taking off. Bonk is getting bonked. Nobody cares about that right now, though, because you've got Render, Psy, like Injective, just a bunch of others taking off here that are up, double digits, if not more. So the altcoin space is looking pretty hot right now. I'll throw this in here too. So this is for the week. Again, pretty decent numbers. Some of the meme stocks have kind of taken a hit and taken backseat to projects that are probably more fundamental in nature, which is good. This is my final list of trades for the day. So I did pick up some more SoFi for 50 cents on my contracts. Bought a bunch of Bitfarms and Cipher today. That was my main focus. These were down. A lot of these I picked up on average like, I'd say 7.5, maybe 8% down on the day. So I thought those were a great deal. I was happy to gobble them up. All right, let's see. I'm going to refresh real quick and see, make sure we have the latest version here. So kind of the stuff that got abused a couple of days ago is back, right? The Microsofts, the Apples, the Googles, NVIDIA, the chip sector is just roaring. Look at all the green here. They've done really good today. Even Tesla got a bid up 1 point. Well, I think it was 1.2 on the end of the day. And I still think Tesla's going down. But it's nice to see this kind of broad recovery again. We also today had some new all-time highs, not in the Dow Jones, but we did within the S&P. So we had a new high today in the S&P, which is great, the S&P 500. The NASDAQ didn't, the NASDAQ 100 didn't hit it, but it got really close. And then the Russell here, I wanted to point this out. The Russell actually, it doesn't show up from this chart. Let me grab a different one because there's a better chart here and it looks really cool. So this is what I wanted to show you, just this hammer candle where it's jumping back up again and looking to climb higher. And if I go to the daily, again, it looks strong on the Russell. It looks like small caps want to take off, and I love that. Definitely something we want to see. It doesn't hurt that we're seeing the dollar fall pretty steep today, 0.5%. My friend Mortensen Bach was saying something about how he thinks the miners have bottomed because we're seeing weakness in the dollar. He could be right. They might have. I've got a little more capital sitting on the sidelines in case they haven't, though. And again, I think they're just like, if you have a long-term vision of a year plus, you're going to make so much money off of them, in my opinion, that I think it's ridiculous to worry about if they're dropping a couple more days. Do they have 10, 20% downside? Who cares if you're going to make 10x? I don't. All right. Oh, I didn't even say it here. Oil. Oil is down a little bit on the day. Again, I still think it's going to break down. It's moving pretty slow, though. There isn't really... Oil is so dead right now. Nobody really cares. Now, we are back in extreme greed, just barely. That's something to keep an eye on. Again, all the standard stuff. We just had strength for so long. Market momentum is in extreme greed. Stock price strength is in extreme greed. That's good, though. Like, you want to see it going up. Put call ratio is still really low. So far, we're not seeing crazy market volatility and things still look like they're coasting, which is good. Economic data. So we're going to go through this real quick. Today's data was pretty good, especially on the jobs front. And you know what? I think I might, you know what? I got a better thing for this. Let me go over, we're going to do something real quick. We're going to go back to economic data. I'm going to hit these other talking points, and then I'm going to go to charts that I've already kind of written out and drawn lines on. It'll probably be easier to describe. So we're going to move real quickly to a post from my friend James at Invest Answers that I wanted to touch on. And he said the zombie list. He calls this the cycle zombie tokens. I haven't looked at the math on it, but I'm pretty sure he's right. He says basically, if and I'll read it real quick. Based on previous experience in past cycles, I've observed that coins that are still more than 65% from all-time highs, 15 months into a bull market, which is where I believe we are currently, tend to recover to all-time highs or underperform new coins. I think that's probably pretty right. Again, I've got separate data, and I should have brought up the slide for it, but showing that from one cycle to the next, 93% of cryptocurrencies that existed in the previous cycle don't even keep up with Bitcoin. So you got really shitty odds if you're holding on to old stuff, and it's not like Ethereum, Solana, or a couple of the other juggernauts that really appear to be alive and have opportunity, or at least strong narratives coming up in the future. So again, this is just a risk. People fall in love with their coins from the last cycle. I think that's a big danger in regard to crypto investments, which is why, like, when I was in another YouTube video last night talking about how, like, by the end of it, I dump everything, unless it's Bitcoin that I've added for each cycle on my hardware wallet, it's gone. And so I just highly suggest people put that same mentality up. Now, I wanted to show this. This is a little outdated right now because it says Bitcoin's 400 billion. It's like trillion stuff right now. So like double this, right? Double the size of this little box here, and you get a more accurate picture. But here's what I wanted to display, and I've shown this before, but I just really want to beat this into people's heads. Bitcoin could go up a fortune and be like $1 million a coin if we took 1% of the stored wealth from all these things. 1%. 1% of real estate stored wealth, 1% of bonds, 100% of money stored wealth, equities, collectibles and arts, gold. 1%. You have to think about these numbers. You have to be able to visualize this and understand this. Bitcoin doesn't have to take everything. It can just take a small market share of everything. Just 1%, 0.5%, and you'll be rich off your investment. So, I don't know. Just think about these things. It's very important that you do. It really does matter. Now, here, let me hop back over to what I was going to look at, which is that economic data from earlier today. And then we'll just kind of roll through that real fast. Sorry, I thought I already had that slide up, but I guess I did not. Oh, hey, real quickly, wanted to talk about this. Dennis Porter, huge advocate in Washington for Bitcoin, pointed out yesterday that Arizona passed that resolution in the Senate to have the state's pension look at purchasing Bitcoin. So we're seeing states starting to purchase Bitcoin. Very important stuff. Oh, this is just another one. The spot ETF balances, you see them growing. This is from Will Clemente, great guy, showing that there's 50 billion in AUM. Just remarkable. Oh, and this real quick. Natalie Brunell is a badass. She interviewed, just the other day, she interviewed Michael Saylor. This is a really great conversation talking about how we're in the gold rush of today. Highly recommend you look at this. It's such a good video. Saylor is an absolute boss. And for anybody who might have missed it from my other video yesterday, I think we're going to 92,000 in the next 40 days. That's important if you care about making money. All right, let me see here. Where is it? Where is it? Where's the economic stuff? Have I lost it? How many posts did I do today? Oh, there we go. There we go. We're getting there. We're getting there. Okay. Let's start with jobless claims. So what I said in here is claims are slightly trending higher over the last 1.5 years. So maybe this is more telling compared to other jobs data that we're going to look at in a second. I go either way, it's not at crazy levels. So again, this is the pandemic stuff going way up, distorted a lot of these jobs charts. But this doesn't look crazy. It's not a huge number. Here, all right, here we go. And I said there's nothing to see here in regard to initial jobless claims. It's flat. It's dead flat for years. So again, no smoking gun there. Now, I know, depending on your political affiliation, you look at jobs data differently. I actually want to go back real quick and just mention something here too. So if you're on the right, you're probably going to say the jobs data is all rigged. If you're on the left, you're going to say it's perfect and there's nothing wrong with it. I think the truth lies in the middle. I do think, though, that there's something that is completely overlooked, which I talked about in yesterday's video, I think, for a second, is that we're seeing the highest level of retirees in recent history. It's been massive after the pandemic. You got to think 35 to 40% of money printing occurred after the pandemic, and that also drove up real estate prices by that, and it just created a lot of wealth in people that were already older and getting closer to retirement. So I think that with that, you have a lot of people retiring. Again, I think it was like 2 million was the excess surplus this year, or maybe that was over the last couple of years. I gotta look up the chart again. But the whole point is that there's a huge number of people retiring, and so you have the skilled labor area still needing to hire. So you might see job openings still, but I don't think that's the end of the world. I think it's because all these people got richer than they thought they were going to be, and they're like, screw this, I'm done working. I mean, I did that, right? Like, I literally did the exact same thing. I think there's a lot of people that are in that position. And my whole point in regard to jobs data is I think it keeps the number lower for longer because you have more openings than you would normally have. And these companies are more desperate to hire people. So they hire people that they might not normally hire. And then in the non-skilled labor section, you have an abundance of people that have come into the country. I mean, most they can't work, but like there's a lot of stuff that's happening right now in dynamics in regard to jobs. And so I would argue that it's going to be hard to get unemployment to go up high in these conditions. So this is something I just wanted to touch on real quick. I think that's really important to just think about and to understand is that the bears, their strongest narrative towards everything is going to fall apart is that we're looking at jobs and unemployment getting ready to skyrocket. And my thesis is that might not be possible to do over the short term. And that really ruins their bear thesis. And if anything, it just allows us to continue to melt up. All right, I did want to touch on this. This is a post I did earlier. It's about used car prices. It says they've fallen off a cliff in the last year. And if you look here, you can see that, right? Like, actually a couple years, I should have said, because you could see where the pandemic really jacked up prices because we had that issue where we had a chip shortage, just all kinds of problems. And so prices went up and skyrocketed. But then in the last year, yeah, no, I was right about that part. They've dropped off a cliff. They've been negative, right? Like, look at this. It's just completely negative. Well, so this has changed the dynamics a lot. Tesla and other car companies had tons of pricing pressure that they could apply up here, right? They have none down here. And this is what Elon was warning us about. This is why they gave us like shitty guidance for this year. People are complaining about Tesla because they were stupid enough to buy it with a PE ratio of 1400 at the top. But and then it doesn't go anywhere for 3 years. Well, hey, that's what you signed up for. You should do better research and understand the value of things. And right now, if anything, we're in an area where we're incredibly depressed, and this company has a chance for that to turn around as rates drop at the latest by June per Fed Powell. And the Fed talked today in front of the Senate. Yesterday, he talked in front of the House. I didn't do a recording on the Senate today because I didn't think it would be that interesting. And I had technical issues with it yesterday. But it was actually pretty good and maybe even a better dialogue than yesterday. But for the most part, he kind of said that we're on course for June for rate cuts. And that's where the numbers line up on the Fed cheat sheet too. So I think that Tesla, they're in the doldrums right now, along with the rest of the auto industry. But Tesla is so far ahead of everybody else. They're such a better company. There's so much innovation. They've got an energy section. They're going to have robotics. They're going to have autonomy. This company is going to be crushing so many different aspects of business. It's insane to me how depressed and complaining about people are about these investments. It's like, yes, you're missing out. I even said this at the end of last year, beginning of the year. I said that, hey, if you're in this, I don't think it's going anywhere, and you're going to be missing out on an opportunity with that money. So you might want to reapply it to something else, and that's what I did. But I'm gobbling this stuff up right now because I think that there's good days coming ahead, and I think that these used car prices. My whole point here, before I went into this rant, is that used car prices are a drag on new car prices, right? Because if people are looking at new and old cars and they're like, that used car is a year old, it's got some miles on it, but holy crap, is it cheaper? I'm just going to buy a used car. Then you can really pull on new sales and make it more difficult for them. So, my whole point, I think that has been a draw on Tesla. It's been a draw on all these auto manufacturers, and Tesla is going to come out of it the best. Sorry, big rant for that. Challenger job cuts. I just wanted to, again, visualize this over, the 30-year time frame. It's nothing. It's not a big deal. I know everybody, again, depending upon political affiliations, you want to have a certain view on this. I think we're fine on the jobs front, guys, and I think that's going to piss off a lot of bears. It's going to make them sad and scared and make them want to buy because they're afraid that they're missing out. Let me see. Where's this doesn't look like my normal chart. What is going on here? I want to show Bitcoin, and then I'm going to show a few other cryptos, and then we'll pull in my regular stuff, and then we can start looking at other things. Yeah, we could look at Rivian too, Sean. I don't like the company though. I still think it's shit. I don't like. They might survive. I just think it's a super sketchy investment. All right. So what I wanted to point out here. So I kind of had drawn what I thought support was going to be. It looks like it's turning out that way. We're back above peak volumes over the shorter time frame. And that is great. So we found support. We're back above the fib again. Again, we hit support. I said this green area was going to be it, and this fib was going to be it, and we're bouncing perfectly off of it. And I think that that's just a super optimistic sign for Bitcoin right now. And I love that. I love. All right, let's look at Solana. Solana, I think, is on a clear breakout. Nice and clear. I actually thought Solana would go after Ethereum, so I am blown away by the fact that this is happening, but not so much because it has the better narrative right now. Ethereum has to get this EIP in. They've got to get more chatter about the ETFs. They've got to get people talking about the deflation more. They just need more attention. But again, Solana looks great. Still launching off of this. We're in the 146 range, up 12% on the day. Just beautiful. Looks great. And then I think once Ethereum breaks 4,000, I don't know why I keep doing this. I need to look up from here. All right, Ethereum. All right, I'll read the comments a little more in a second here. But again, I would say that from this fib down here on January 30th, when we were at 2,200 on Ethereum, I think we're already in that launch zone, guys. Like, we're already there. We've been there. It was a great 4 weeks with 70% profits on Ethereum. I just think a lot of people didn't even pay attention. But I made my video back over here, guys. I made it over here. I told you to buy Ethereum, and it's doing quite well. And I think that pace is only going to quicken once we get past 4K. I think it's going to start getting more of a positive narrative. All right, let me see here. I guess I should talk about Palantir. Yeah, all right, I'm going to pull up Palantir because everybody loves their Palantir. All right, so there's still, from a technical standpoint, there's a lot that's wrong with this. Let me go to the weekly. Yeah. So there's a lot that's wrong with this. So again, it wants to go higher. It really does seem like it wants to go higher. But in after hours, we're down. We're getting near this line again. And you can see it better, this resistance line. You can see how it has been strong resistance. We broke above it for a day. And then now, this is the second day that we're above it. But it's creeping back down. We need to find support right around 26. Even if we wick underneath of it for the day, tomorrow we need to close above that 26-ish range so that we can feel good that it's not just going to go back under here and start dropping down. Lots of good news with Palantir lately, though, and the fundamentals are going to trump everything else. But keep in mind, from a technical standpoint, we have this really strong uptick, right, where it's just fighting. This isn't a normal looking chart. You don't want to see that. You want to see like up, grind down, up, grind down. You want to see like these back tests. That's a nice, healthy looking chart. This one's had bearish divergence that goes back a year almost on multiple levels. This has gotten a little bit better here, so we could take that off. But so there's bearish divergence still here that wants to pull it down, and that could be important. All right, I don't know why that says MSOS. I must have screwed something up here. I'm going to rename this one real quick so I don't lose it. And then I'll pull up my charts, and then I'll start looking at you guys' comments, and I'll roll through yours. All right, let me see. What do I want to do here? How did Archie? Let's look at ARC. Okay. I don't know where all my stuff is here. Oh, there we go. There we got our volume profile. Should probably put. Why don't I have fibs on this? Have I had fibs on this, guys? Have I not had fibs on this? I don't know what my problem is. I'm going to draw one. Let's see which one's March. March. Hey, V. I will look at that and make sure to answer it in a little bit here after I get through these charts and once I get down to that section of the comments. So hang in there. Oh, did I just... Damn it. I just overwrote the other one. I am just not with it today. I'm going to have to fix that too. All right. I got better at this. All right. So we closed up 1%, and after hours we're at 0.43%. I've been saying this for a while. I want to get above like 32. When we get above 32, I'm a happy camper. That'll be a great sign because then it gives us more room to run. All right, let's see here. Let's see, SoFi. SoFi had a good day. Let's check out SoFi. Coffee or something. I'm not doing well today. Let me give you a little heart for giving that too. Thank you, V. I appreciate it. All right, so let's go back here a little bit. So you can see one thing real quickly here. This red line that's drawn across, at least on the shorter time frame going back to October, we're at peak volume and we found support there, right? And this is the second time we've done that. We also, I drew this a couple days ago, or maybe it was yesterday morning, showing what I thought the likely support zone would be. And again, we hit it perfectly, bounced above it, got above peak volume on the local time frame. And I think this was much to do about nothing with them getting, the $750 million offering. And it doesn't even really vest until 2029 when people could start to execute on it outside of a couple of little one-off scenarios. And so this is going to lower the amount of debt that they're paying on right now and make it a more sustainable company. So I think this is brilliant. I think it's a great thing in the end. I would rather see a company doing something like this now than when they're not in a position of strength, like Tanner likes to say all the time. They're in a position of strength. They had great earnings, guys. So this is good in my opinion, and I still think that we're headed up to the $12 range, and we're going to try and hit this fib up here, roughly 58% higher than we are today. All right, let me do this. I want to show. Oh yeah, I'll pull up Square first. Square's starting to do better again. It did not close its gap, which is interesting. And I don't know, where is my stuff? Why is it not appearing? Something's weird. I think it's TradingView. But you can see this gap down here where this didn't fill on the daily time frame, but we're actually look like we're trying to tick up. So we might end up doing that. Let me go back here. Did I not pull that up right? I feel like there's something weird going on, or I'm just looking these up the wrong way. Maybe my brain isn't working today. Maybe I need more sleep. There we go. That's better. That's probably it. All right, so again, we're above peak volumes. Love that. Would love to see us get above this line up here in red that's been the downward resistance. So if Square can get back up to like 77, or I'm sorry, 82, that would be amazing. If it could break up above that, because it's done it a few times now. This will be the fourth time. Fourth time is a charm if it can pull that off. And then let me pull up PayPal. PayPal actually got a bid today. I'm so happy. So happy. Again, so PayPal is fighting underneath the 100 moving average on the daily. Or did it close above it? It's hard to tell. Zoom in a little bit. Let's see. Did you get it up? Little PayPal got it up? No, PayPal didn't get it up. PayPal's underneath. But it's above peak volumes on a local time frame, which is awesome. So that's good. Now we just got to get above this 100, and then we'll have some resistance up around 60, and then we just need to keep going higher. once we get above, once we get like up to here at this line, resistance line again, I think it's time to take off. We've touched it a few times now. We almost broke above it right here. But look at this, like this line has been established over a long period of time. So the second we actually turn this into support and don't get this scam wick like we had over here on that earnings, then it's off to the races, and I don't think that's going to take long. All right, real quick, Hood. I'll pull up Tesla too, and then probably some miners. All right, so Hood, again, we got that clean rejection off the 1 fib, which is totally normal. And it looks like we're trying to grind higher. Again, we got peak volumes kind of over here, and we're trying to trend above it. And I think this is going to be strong if crypto is strong, and I think crypto is going to be strong. Tesla. All right, so Tesla got a bounce. I still think we can go lower. And I mean, look at after hours, right? It was up 1.2% on the day. It's down 0.64 in after hours. So I think we're still going down at least to this green line. And if you draw this down to the wicks, it could actually be just a hair lower. It could be more like this. So I still think that we're likely to do a grind down here, maybe into the 160s, all the way down to the low 160s, high 160s. Thanks, Daniel, for joining. Appreciate it. And that we could grind over here for a while before we really start to launch. And I think that that's going to be a really bullish thing. I think that's going to be positive. And again, we got all these narratives and things changing behind the scenes too that are going to be good. All right, I'm going to pull up CleanSpark. CleanSpark was a juggernaut today. Again, this is the reason this is my biggest miner. It's just super effective. Look at this. So we did close below the .618, but man, we get above that. So we wicked way up here, got crushed, fell way down here, tried to bounce back. Now we just want to get above this .618 around the 18 range. We want to be above $18 steadily. If we can do that, then I think it's time to fly again for CleanSpark. Again, heavily dependent upon what Bitcoin does. Thank you for joining, Benjamin. Appreciate it, man. Let's look at some others real quick. I'll pull up Cypher next. And then Mara, and then Bitfarms. And Bitfarms, we'll talk real quickly about their earnings while I pull that one up. And we'll look at them. Cypher, honestly, yeah, Cypher was up 27% yesterday and hit this fib again. So I don't care what Cypher's doing, but it did drop and then it bounced, and we're back up again, and we're gonna break this fib, and then it's off to the races. I think Cypher could get to 555 to 610 very quickly, very quickly, very quick, like 70-80% in your money, in my opinion, because they had a great quarter in pretty much every possible way. All right. Did I cover? Yes, I did. I said that it did really well today. PayPal looks good. It needs to break above. Let me go back here. It needs to break above. Needs to break above like the 63 level and turn that into support, and then we'll be really good on it. Is it options or shares you added today? I don't have any options for crypto stuff, guys. It's already a leveraged investment. I got options when like CleanSpark was in the dollar range. And CleanSpark today is 1782. So that gives you an idea of when I was messing around with options. I start off in the beginning with options. Then as I make a ton of money, I start to dial out of that. Right now, I'm still dialed out. All right, anyway, let's move on. Mara. So again, and this is a small cap. Cypher is only 870 million, right? That's tiny. Let's look at Mara and see how big Mara is. And a lot of Marans, a lot of Mara pigs, they don't seem to get this concept, and I've said it for a while. I do have $250,000 in this one, so I won't shit talk it too much. But, and I think they're up to 30 exahash again, which is good. They need to be. And they've got a huge stack, 3 times the size of CleanSpark and like double of Riot for Bitcoin, which is great. And they blew away earnings, but they're a large cap, right? Look at Cypher. Cypher was what? 870 million for its market cap. This is almost 6 billion. So you're 7x the size. You have to think about these things when you're thinking about the investment opportunity. It's easier for a Cypher, for a Bitfarms to go higher quicker with a much greater percentage than it is a Mara. because of sheer size. Even though I think Mara and CleanSpark are kind of like the high end sector within the Bitcoin mining community. All right, Bitfarms, and again, Bitfarms is a small cap too. I kind of consider Mara to be the large cap, slower moving, and then CleanSpark to be the kind of second tier mid cap, and then Bitfarms and Cypher being those low caps. And look at Cypher. Cypher did great. It bounced up to the .5, and it's right on the line. So technically, it turned that into support. Hit the 200 weekly moving average, and then jumped back up to the fib. I think this is actually looking pretty good. I'm worried that it could drop if Bitcoin slides. We could go down to here at the very, get sub $2. That is possible, but this could be the bounce. This could totally be it. Hope so. That'd be great. All right, let me think if there's anything else I want to pull. Oh, MicroStrategy. I always want to do Michael Saylors because he's a stud. Can we find out if PayPal started the buybacks yet? I don't think they have. They will file disclosures. I think for sure we'll see those on earnings. We might see them in filings too before that. But we don't know. And here's the thing, they're going to do that slow. They're going to do that slow because they don't want to move the price. You got to think about this. They've got approval for $10.5 billion in buybacks. They want to buy as much of that back as they can without moving the price. And that's probably why they set expectations so low for the rest of the year too, because if the price is cheap for even like another month and they can scoop it up on down days and they can buy back more and more and more, they're going to do that. They're not going to try and pump it. That's not what they want to do. All right, so again, Michael Saylor MicroStrategy, we're out of a 25-year breakout zone now again after dipping under it yesterday. We were up 4.32%. I think we're going to gather some volatility here. Maybe we're down in after hours by 1.5%, but maybe we grind around here and then we launch up to this next level, which will put us in the 1900s. So another 50% increase in the price of this thing. And I think that'll come with maybe 10% move in Bitcoin just because of the way he's got this thing levered. It's sick. This is the best ETF you can get, in my opinion. All right, I think I'm done showing my stuff. So I'm going to go back and show you your stuff. All right, let's go back. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. El Mase, I hope I'm saying that right. Picture in picture isn't working. I think I forgot to turn off ads. That's probably why. So it seems like people that don't pay for YouTube Premium lose picture in picture when ads are on. That's my best guess. I honestly don't know for sure. It's not easy to find this stuff sometimes and figure out what the problems are. 4K a few weeks ago, you're a legend. It's getting there. Thanks, Slim Shady. Kroger crushed today. Kroger, a grocery store. I never look at Kroger's. But you got me interested. Let's look it up. I mean, it's probably good if a grocery store is crushing earnings today. Was it earnings? I'm assuming you're talking about earnings. Assuming you're talking about Kroger grocery store too, I guess. Oh, shit. It's pretty good for a grocery store. Was it earnings? So yeah, God, even grocery stores are surprising to the upside. I don't think that's a bad sign, guys. Again, if you're expecting the apocalypse, if Kroger's food and grocery can still be crushing earnings, I think that maybe the world is not falling apart. I'm assuming that Gina is that is this right here? Sports Limited. This is a weird one. Looks like it could go either way. Let me see. Winter earnings. March 6th. So they happened. And they dropped. Okay. So let's see how bad their earnings were. They don't look that bad. I mean, they're burning cash. That's not great. What do these guys do? London. Internet content and information. I don't like the burning of cash. That sucks. They're share diluting. They're not making any money yet. The revenue's been going up for several years. Since 2019, they've been going up, but they've never made any money. And they've been diluting shares for a while, like the last several years. That's just not great in this kind of environment. Oh, I guess they're forecast to go up for Q4. Oh, Q4 is up, and then the rest starts to drop off. So this is not super great. So have the earnings happened? Maybe this hasn't updated yet. If this just dropped. Let's see here. March 6th, it says. So it looks like yesterday. I don't know. But yeah, I would be a little worried in this one that we could roll over. Let me just do this real quick. It's just the way it looks, right? So we got rejected on the first fib, got crushed on earnings here, it looks like, or after earnings, down 6% today. It just looks very, since this is curling up and it's had its opportunity to go up, but look at how much, there's this rule about testing the downside too much. It works with the upside too. Whichever side you just keep testing over and over again, unless you just sit there on the support zone or the resistance zone for a long period of time, then it can flip and be bullish or bearish, flip the opposite direction basically. But right now with this one, it looks like it wants to test lower, in my opinion. It looks like it wants to break underneath these moving averages that are upward trending now and this support line. And you could draw this a couple of different ways. You could just skip that, draw it here. It's probably like the more consistent one, at least through this time frame. But it looks like it wants to break down and at least test 550. And if it breaks under that, it could, I mean, that's where all the volume is, so it could get a little uglier. Oh, I screwed that one up too, and now I got that as Kroger. What the heck, dude? I need to work on this. I need to get better at this. All right, let's pull up another one. I didn't get my coffee this afternoon. Rivian. Yeah, Rivian. Let's look at that one real quick. I knew they did better because they released their R2, which I thought wasn't like the best looking thing. And they're not, you guys have to realize, I do not regret selling this. First off, I sold it after it gapped down right around here, so it's up a little bit from it, but I do not regret selling it. This R2 that they're talking about building isn't even until 2026. And they don't even have enough money to survive till then. So they're going to have a desperate liquidity situation that they'll need Amazon or somebody. And again, I don't know, why doesn't Amazon just let them fail? But why don't they just let them fail and then buy the company? But I could see us going back maybe to 15, 18, testing this before going down further. But I just don't see anything good here. Didn't I do this right? All right, one sec. Let me check something. I swear to God, I must be tripping today. Let me see real fast. Yeah, okay, there we are. There's the Rivian one. But when I do this, it's like the stuff is missing. Whatever. All right. Anyway, moving on. Not going to change too many things. Dish Network. Dish Network just screams of a dying company. But I'll pull it up. I mean, you got to think of it this way. I don't even have them on here. You got to think of like Dish, DirecTV. I don't know. Is that even the same thing now? Maybe they, I don't know. Nobody cares about any of this stuff. It's garbage. And SpaceX completely and utterly makes it want to go away. Like, oh, did I do that right? Is Dish Network? Is that a true story? Why is this the Mexican one? This is not a U.S. company anymore? I'm so confused. Whatever. I'll grab Mexico. If this is Dish Network, I don't know if it is. I don't know. Let me look though. Is this even a company anymore? Is this a company anymore? This can't be. What? It's like there's no volume on that exchange. Let me try it this way. Ah, there we go. That's German. All right. I don't know if you're talking about Dish Network. If you are, you need to clarify. There's no volume or any liquidity on this thing at all, and it's a dying company. So I'm just gonna move on. The R3 is ugly like the pickup. Yeah, I don't love it. How are the miners doing? They're doing great. I just talked about them earlier. Hopefully you caught that. ADA. I can do ADA. Should have that one. Let's go to crypto. All right, so ADA. How far down is ADA from its previous high? Still pretty far. I don't know. I struggle with this one. I just don't know what they've done that's interesting, and they've been around for several years. There's a lot of talk last cycle about Hodgkins and what he was doing, and they're up 222%. Again, there's that rule that I just talked about earlier from James with Invest Answers about needing, if you're negative 65% at this point, then you're probably not going to break your previous all-time high. And this one is a $26 billion market cap. It's already a super high market cap, and it doesn't have near the volumes or activity of something like Solana. So I don't think this is a great investment personally. I don't love it. This is a definition of like the old coins where I would just get away from them. Why is Hood in a pause mode and Coin is in full send mode? I don't know. I mean, stuff moves all the time. That's just the way it works. Let's look up Coin. So Coin has a strong narrative right now. Coin does have 9 ETFs behind it. So that's a thing. Right? Like they're doing the transactions for 9 ETFs. But I would say that Hood deserves to take a breather. It hit that fib pretty hard. And then we had markets drop pretty hard. And you're right, Coin's doing good. It's going up. I wouldn't say full send. It's up like 1.71% and 0.34 after hours. Hood was up what? What was Hood up? Let me see here. Hood was up. I'm gonna refresh. Or down 0.24% and down 0.3 in after hours. So these aren't really that far out of line right now, even though Coin has obviously had a pretty good uptick since February 24th. So it's had a good couple of weeks. But Hood did pretty good too. All right, let me see here. Make sure I'm not missing anything. I'd like to know when PayPal is going up. So would I, Patrick. If you figure that out, please let me know. SoFi is trash. Why do we all keep throwing money at it? You know what? If you don't like it, don't throw money at it. Don't be an idiot, right? But I think you're completely wrong. So, whatever. Which is why I do. And I think my judgment's pretty good. Unless you made 700% across your portfolio last year, I don't know. Maybe I'm right. Maybe you're wrong. Wish. I don't know what Wish is, but let's check. Some caps. All right. Oh, finally starting to get my brain together here. Wish. What is Wish? I'm going to say it is context logic. All right. Oof, this has been a downhill trip for this one, huh? Pain, 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 pain. More pain. Nothing but pain. Well, this is the worst chart I've seen in a very long time. That's pretty amazing. The company is $151 million. Let me see what these financials look like. Can only imagine. Now, if they look like they're improving, this could be interesting. Oh no, this is fucking trash. All right, that's my educated opinion after 2 seconds of looking at this. It's a dying company. Look at these revenues, man. There's nothing left of this company. How many people work here? 5? 750. Jun Yan, San Francisco, California, 15% short interest. Estimates show them continuing to lose money, never making money. Trash. Stay away from it. Maybe it's a good short opportunity, but stay away from it. Where do you think ETH price tops this cycle if ETH spot ETF doesn't get approved? I think it's going to get approved, so I don't really like to speculate on something that I don't think is going to happen. Plus, there's the transaction fees going down by 10x. So I think it does really good no matter what. And it looks like it's doing really good now. But no, I think I don't know, what did I have this thing at? It wasn't 20K. Let me see here. Yeah, I mean it all depends. This is harder to move, right? But I still think that 20,000 is probable. I think that that's probable. That's probably the number we're going to get to, right? Like that's at least 5x. And then I think we could get to something like 30. That's my educated guess. It's a little harder with some of these large caps. And again, there's a lot of variables, like you said, with the ETF. But I think the ETF is happening. And I think that 30K is a distinct possibility for Ethereum. I know it sounds crazy, but There's going to be so much liquidity jumping into all this stuff that I think it can go up a lot. Uh, we looked at Grab, not just the charts, but the company. Yeah, we have. That's actually on my list of ones to talk about in regard to a long trade. I've just been getting really busy. I have YouTubers. Tom Nash is talking about doing a show with me next Monday. And I've got like some big guys that want to do some stuff with me. Invest Answer said something a while ago too. So I might do something with James. I just want to provide value, and he's already so good. So that one's a little that's intimidating from a like straight up technicals front. Tom I love because Tom's just somebody who can talk about like theory and all this other stuff for a long time. But James is overwhelming for me because he's got so many great technicals already. He's so data driven. It's ridiculous. Um, so we'll see. We'll see if I do that one right away. So again, we're above. Key volumes here. Closing a gap to like 594 seems like it's theoretically very possible. And if we go over and look at the financials on this one, if I remember correctly, they look good because we've had revenue growth straight up since Q2 of 2022. We've got this thing turning net positive as of Q4. We've got the cash position starting to build up. The expenses haven't changed a ton. Cash flow got a little bit of positive in Q3 2023. Dilution isn't really a thing as of late. It was for a little bit there in 2023. And then we're seeing estimates going higher. This looks like it could be a good setup. Now, I do remember something. Yeah, so its market cap is $12 billion though. So it's already, this is just one I struggle with because I think it was probably, I don't know if this is a SPAC or what. It seems like it started around SPAC-y times, but it seems like it was probably heavily overvalued up here. And then it got crushed. And it, from a technical level, I could see it wanting to close to like 587. But the question is does it deserve a $12 billion valuation? And I can't honestly right now tell you that it does. I'm just not sure. I don't know enough about the company yet. I need to do more research. So we'll see. Let me see. Did you cover PayPal? Yes. MU. Okay. Mu. Let's do Mu. I think I have that one in here. Maybe I don't. Yeah, I do. Cool. All right. Mu. Micron. A chip maker. Yeah, of course it's going up. We'll look at the financials. I don't remember what they look like. They don't look that great. I mean, they've been pretty bad since 2022, late 2022, right? They're getting maybe more positive. Debt's high. Cash is going lower. This is like, I guess, improvement. They're currently at $109 billion valuation with 16% revenue growth year over year. But that's deceiving, right? Because we had this massive drop off. And it is ticking up. I guess it is set to go higher. They're not really making money, though. And that's kind of concerning with a company that has a $110 billion valuation and that's losing cash and maintaining debt. I don't know. I don't love it. I don't love it. I think it's catching a bid from all the other chips. Now, it does have like the largest cup and handle, but you got to have fundamentals too, right? Like you can't lose money and be worth $110 billion for long, can you? This feels like a hot potato. I don't love that. Which one is the best miner to own or trade? That's hard to say. They have different size, so that can mean a lot. Belskov, thank you for joining. Appreciate that. I like CleanSpark the best as far as just being a really well-run company, having a good stack of Bitcoin that's growing still. Oh, and I missed you, Spiffy, man. I'll get back up there. Having a good stack that's growing and just, I don't know, again, just all around MVP. I like CleanSpark the most, but it's also bouncing and doing pretty good, and it's a larger cap. I will say this. I think that Cypher and Bitfarms could outperform because they're just so much smaller in caps. And when you have a lot of money flowing into the space, the smallest caps get the highest returns. You got to remember that, at least for the most part, not as a general rule. Did I miss you talking about Bitfarms? Yep, I did a little bit ago. I actually think I thought their earnings were good. Well, I didn't talk about earnings. Let me go into that. I just quickly looked through the chart. So let's go to earnings and do that part. So Q4 is in. Bitcoin production was slightly higher. This is actually pretty good because it's hard to keep up. Hash rate's been growing so much. You can see even their own hash rate has been growing, right? But difficulty's been growing along with that, so it's been hard to maintain. If you look at revenues here, you can still see that they're headed in the right direction, 46 million in revenue. They had like a one-time loss that they had to count in here that going back a ways that kind of threw this off from being positive for their net income. You can see that they're still diluting shares, and yes, I think that they will still be doing some dilution, but I do like the fact that they've got a strong cash position. Their operating expenses are up, but their hash is going up. Throughout the year, these guys are going from like 6.5 exahashes to like 20. So again, dilution could definitely be a thing throughout that, but at the same time, I don't think they did bad. I wish their Bitcoin holdings were larger. Now they did sell, I think, closer to the top in the last cycle, right? Like they sold, they dialed out, probably maybe right after the cycle peak or something, but they dialed out of their holdings. I think that was actually really smart, but I wish they would have started building in the bear and had a larger stack right now because they're not going to benefit as much from those FASB rules as somebody like Amara or CleanSpark, and so that bums me out. I wish they had that going for them, and they don't. And as a comparison for another small cap that's around the same size, let's look at Cypher. So Cypher, you can see how their Bitcoin production increased a little bit. Again, kind of the same, but they had 1,327 produced. Let's go back here to Bitfarms. Bitfarms had, so Cypher's winning on the amount produced. Hash rate, it says 6.5 exahash. Over here, it says 7.4 on Cypher. So Cypher is already winning on Bitcoin production and hash rate. Their revenue is 43 million for the quarter, so that's close. They were net income positive, and their dilution isn't nearly the same right now, at least. It could be because they have aggressive goals too, but cash is looking better. Estimates are okay. I mean, they're drifting down here for Q2, it looks like now. Revenue employee looks all right. This I like right here. So their Bitcoin holdings are a little bit higher, and they're building that stack. That's probably the part I like the most for them right now. Because again, their revenues aren't seeing a really strong increase. I think they're going to have more share dilution in the future, but they're a smaller cap. And I don't mind smaller caps diluting for massive growth because once that growth kicks in, the financial statements will look a lot better. All right, I think that's enough there. Let's keep going here. So Intel. Yeah, sorry, Spiffy, man. Let me get that up. Got to pay attention to the people that are tipping me, man, and the people that are members. Like I've said before, I don't know for the new people that might be here, but if you're a whale or an alpha, make sure you say that and then put the ticker symbol in there. Put it with a $sign if you could. That's really helpful because then I can see what's going on and I know which ones to pull up. And since you tipped me $10, I'm going to look up NVIDIA and Intel. So Intel looks pretty good. I drew a support line here because you could see where it was strong support on this side. So I drew a support line. We did bounce off of it. So that's cool, right? Now I would love to see us get above the .382, the 47 mark. And then once we do that, I think it's a pretty quick trip to 57. Intel has the foundry thing behind it. It's got billions of dollars in funding from the government behind it. Its foundry services have contracts with NVIDIA. I mean, these are things that are happening in the future, but with the chips narrative being so strong right now, I do think that Intel will benefit from that and that you'll see that continue to go up as well. All right, let's pull up NVIDIA. Oh, and I do have my daughter in about 30 minutes or so, probably closer to 4:30. I need to bail. She's got her taekwondo classes tonight, so I got to take her because my wife is sick. All right, NVIDIA is just a juggernaut. Again, you can see where it hit this fib here, and it tested against it and broke down pretty hard. But once it got above it, it didn't even test back down to it, and it's just off. I think unless we have some catastrophic thing, you're going to see NVIDIA at $1,134 soon. It's stupid, but I think that's what's happening. Let me see. They had good earnings. Which one is the best miner? Okay, let's go down. I got these already. ECL. Price target for Clean Spark and Mara before having wild guess. Before having, I don't know. That's hard to guess right off the top of my head. I think that Bitcoin can go up 50%, so they could at least double. All right, ECL. I don't have that one, I don't think. You're welcome, Spiffy, man. Thank you, bud. All right. What was I just pulling up? ECL. Let's put that in here. Right. Oh, this one. So let me just back up a little bit, get a broader view of what's going on for the landscape here. Oof, that's some. They got rocked in the pandemic, and then they went straight up, and then they got rocked again. Now it looks like they're gonna make another trip, huh? I'm gonna draw for this one. So it's not perfect, but it's close. So I could see us trying to test again all-time highs here at 238. The question is, can we get above 251? And I don't know what these guys do. Let me look at their valuation. They are 64 billion. And let's just pull them up. Ecolabs. Cool. Cool name. I dig it. All right. Revenue slowly growing. Let's look at estimates though. Still seeing some growth. EPS is all right. 1.5 is that 1. Oh, that's for sure. All right. Let's go back here. So they're bringing in 405 million a quarter, $64 billion company. That's not a horrible number. PE is 47. Growth is revenue growth is 7% quarter over quarter. They do have a lot of debt, but I don't know what the debt looks like. They did have to get a little. They had to do some dilution this last quarter. It looks like not a ton, but a little bit. And then cash flow is looking better. Doesn't look like a horrible company, and I like the revenue growth. I mean, it looks like they're treading in the right direction. It's just whether or not they're that rich. What do these guys do? Specialty chemicals, chemical industry. I don't know. The PE seems a little high, but wow, this is all institutions. A little bit of retail. 48,000 employees. I don't know. This one could do all right. There's just so many to me. I don't know what the growth is going to look like in this company. I just can't imagine it being that great. So me personally, I think there's probably better opportunities out there. And I'm looking at the weekly, and you're overextended by like 79, 80 range, which is like one of the highest levels it's been at since 2013 on the RSI for the weekly. So I personally think that when we get up here, it's going to be a resistance zone just from technical levels. And then again, from the fact that the valuation is pretty decent, I think you'll start to see some resistance. It would have been great to capture that down here though, right? Like this was the buy zone when you got that close to that double bottom. You had peak volumes down here very clearly. Um, that would have been, and you had divergence to the upside. So when you see this is like kind of what PayPal's been doing. You see this just horrible downtick, right? This downward price action, but then you see that there's divergence, strong divergence to the upside. That's when you enter, man. When you see this thing diving off a cliff here, but you see that divergence, you buy. You buy if you know the company is a good company. All right, let me keep going down here. UCL path. I'll pull a path. Yeah. Is this the one? I think I remember this one, and I think their financials look like shit. If I'm correct, we'll find out in a second here. Pretty sure I've looked at this one a long time ago. Let's find out. I know it was like UI path. Yeah. Okay, so they have went up, but I don't love this. Like this looks weird. Let's look at what this actual company does. Yeah, so they lose a lot of money. They're maybe trending up to not losing money though. I might have to take my statements back. Revenue year over year, 24%. That's not horrible. $13 billion valuation, bringing in 325 million. They really need to start making money in this environment. A little bit of dilution, nothing crazy. Low debt. Operating expenses aren't bad. Let me look here. No, they're trending in the right direction, man. I must have been a little more pessimistic about them being able to accomplish their goals in the past, but I do like that forward guidance looks strong for revenue, and it shows them getting positive EPS. That's not bad. Let's see how what does it look like again? Let's actually draw this one out and do it proper then, since its financials don't look horrible. So let's see here. And again, I will change my mind based upon data just for people that are new here. So I can have one perception and then find out that I disagree with it. So I'd really love to see us get above 29. I do think though this would have been a better bet lower. Again, right here you can see where it was kind of like it was wanting to go up through here. You see this right here? You've got bullish divergence on the RSI on the weekly time frame because it's not able to drop as far, and yet at the same time you have a steep decline. Like this is where you enter stuff like this. Although the company does look all right, it's got a 13 billion valuation, but like it would have just been so much more fun to buy at 11 than 23.60. And I just don't know if they're going to grow enough to really warrant a huge increase. Maybe they get to 40, but like with crypto and then long term like Tesla investments and then just like options on PayPal and ArcG and all these other things, it just seems like you can get way more asymmetric returns and other things. But this isn't as bad as I thought it was. Definitely not. Apple is on a fall. I want to look at Apple. I haven't actually done that in a while. Let me look here. Nope, it's been a while. All right, I gotta look at Apple. I just gotta see how bad this is. These guys are getting destroyed with the China narrative. They got their $3,500 headset. Look at this. Looks like a double top. Measured move for it is like down here, 149. Not even drawing it. Look at this. How far back does this go? This is 2013. Let's do it from the pandemic. So I would expect a break. Again, the measure when I say measured move, here's what I mean. So with this W bottom, like there's this thing called the neckline. That's where like you start to get back to the mean again. That's this area right here. But with the W bottom, the measured move for that would just be like from that to the neckline, which again kind of perfectly coincides with the next fib zone. So all I'm saying is like that this could happen right here, and I would not be surprised at all before it maybe tries to find support. If it breaks down under here and goes down to here, then you have a worse problem. Then you have a much worse problem. You got like descending triangle-ish almost type stuff, even though it's a little backwards, but that could get a lot worse. And you got to realize too, this is a $2.6 trillion company that's all of a sudden finding issues with growth. And what is their PE ratio right now for Apple? It is. I even have that. Let me look it up. I want to look up over here. I haven't looked at this company in so long. I haven't really loved Apple for a while. Um, I just think since Steve Jobs left, the innovations kind of went away. Even though this headset set looks kind of cool, but it's $3,500. So I don't know what that means. Wow, this is taking a while. I'll let that grind while I start pulling up the next ticker. I'm gonna save this Apple one real quick. Falling in love with this stock is dangerous. Risk management is key. Yes, never fall in love with things. Is Coinbase the best, safest platform for all crypto buying and selling? Safe is such a weird interpretation in the crypto world. I would say yes because it's listed on the Nasdaq and it's something that is going to be more regulated and their financials are going to be scrutinized. So and they're hosting 9 of the 11 ETFs. So I would say from that aspect of like institutional ownership and adoption that it's probably the safest. And that yeah, that's probably going to be better for you. Link. Let me see. Did that ever come up? No, it's just still grinding. Refresh. Something got weird. There we go. Oh, that's better. All right. The services are like okay. They look like they might be getting toppy. Net income declined year over year. Again, it's just like I think the China narrative is really scary with this one. Apple's still a great company, but it's getting a premium. And like, look at some of this. Just doesn't look like it's growing at all. 2% year over year. I don't know. It's going to be a painful road, I think, for Apple. when people demand a premium of you and you can't give it to them, you get in trouble. I mean, if you don't believe that, just look at Tesla recently. It has that same problem, even though Tesla is not going to have a problem with growth. They're in completely different worlds. Tesla is the new Apple. Link looks great. Link looks really great. Chainlink looks wonderful. Look at this. Look at this hammer above the .382. That is a beautiful looking chart right there, guys. That looks great. It looks like it's ready to make a launch towards the $30 range for Chainlink. So congrats there if you own it. On. Just on demand or something. Do I have that one? No. I'll do it for you, Chris. You're my buddy. I made you a moderator, Chris. I don't know if you know that. You're my only moderator. Oh, here, I got to do this. So hold those duties. Hold on the fort. I don't think I have any trolls. I don't think anybody's willing to pay to troll me, so that might not matter anyway. Might not need a lot of moderation. All right, on. On semiconductor. Okay. All right. Wow, this thing's just a juggernaut, right? From March of 2020, it was $8, and now it is 10x that. I need to look at the financials though and remember what they look like. What is it called again? On semiconductor. Let's see. Type that up. There we go. Looks like revenue's topped. It looks like net income is flat. What do the estimates look like? Yeah, it's still going down, dude. I love that. Don't like to see revenue and net income dropping, but what is it? 562 a quarter. And it's a $35 billion company. So that's not crazy. They must be doing some buybacks. Yeah, I just don't like to see companies shrink, though. And there's the institutional ownership is like all of it. I like the operating leverage for growth companies. Sure. Yeah, no, I hear that. I just don't know how much they're going to grow. It's just so flat for revenue and net income. And this is forecast to like drop. Their expenses aren't high though, and they are kind of almost like trickling down, and it's decent amounts R&D. I don't know enough about the company. I don't know enough about the company, but it doesn't look like anything that's going to sail. I mean, not when we're looking at Bitcoin and all this other stuff, right? Thank you for upholding the law, Chris. I appreciate it. So I just think there's so many other investments that are good. Like anything Bitcoin right now is a great bet. And then there's all these oversold. When you have companies like PayPal that are down, 80% or something from their all-time highs, and you still got Hood down a bunch, and Square and SoFi and ArcG, and just some of these things that could really take off, and that have excellent options plays. Are you able to compare time frame of the miner's performance to BCT? Meaning, how does time as usually as BTC has been risen up first and miners have followed, vice versa? It differs, man. It's like you got to think of them as like rubber bands. Bitcoin's got a tight rubber band, and so you can flick it and it will gyrate a little bit. But the miners, especially depending upon size and how they do with earnings, can have very elastic rubber bands, and they're not working in unison. They're all kind of just like in vibration in different ways. So the correlations are very difficult. I could show a chart like that maybe tomorrow or something, but they all kind of operate on their own timelines based upon their own fundamental rules, and then just like social narrative, like who everybody for a while there, all the Mara pigs were out talking about Mara. What did it do? It went to the moon. And then they've been decimated though, because it reached a point where it's like, okay, this is probably pretty overvalued until we start to see some strong earnings again in the future, or until they get their hash turned back on, because they had a couple months where they didn't have it. So you'll have these like fundamental narratives within them, and then social narratives. There's so many drivers. The thing you need to understand about miners in Bitcoin is they will never make perfect sense. There will never be a super clear pattern between them. There'll be ones that have the narrative and ones that don't. And but you can get 3 to 5x returns versus the underlying asset. That's the part you should focus on, in my opinion. All right. Thanks for replying on price target for soon. Nice to have an estimate. Hey, can you chart TSM? I love TSM, but I do worry about them. I know they're trying to build here in the U.S., but it's just like one of those things where China could invade in a heart. They could just blockade TSM, and then they're fucked, along with most of Taiwan, right? And then we're going to war, and we're in a world war. So, but it just seems like a lot of risk, in my opinion. I might, I don't know, man. If I really start to get worried about war with China, shorting Taiwan Semiconductor might be a brilliant idea because it would take just an instant hit. Just an instant hit. Decimating hit. I want to look at financials real quick and then I'll draw up the chart on this one. And then I got about 20 minutes and then I got to get ready. Otherwise, my kid will be sad. Can't have a sad kid, man. All right. So revenues look all right. Net income looks like it's been getting good over the last 3 quarters. Operating expenses are trending up a little bit. I'm not sure what the share outstanding is. Maybe that's a glitch or something. I gotta look. Nothing, no real growth year over year, but again, starting to see like it wants to. EPS looks all right. I just think that this is such a tough company. I think that if there wasn't the threat of war, Taiwan Semiconductor would be doing much, much better right now. But I think the threat of war could send them into the abyss in a heartbeat. And I don't know how much there is really to chart for upside here because it's already a $604 billion company. So I'm going to actually look at this from the other end and say, what if we topped? Oh, I didn't do that right. One sec. Yeah. Probably get down to at least 60. I don't know. This one, again, this is kind of, if I look at Taiwan Semiconductor for anything, it's going to be a short play. Just because it's already so highly valued and then it's got all that risk. I mean, it's sad that they have it, but it's just the world that we live in. Apple has a lot of headwinds in China with iPhone sales falling 24%. They've got so many problems. They're so heavily invested in China. It's like Starbucks. They have like 3,000 locations in China. Just stupid moves. And Apple was on my list of companies to potentially short, but I was like, no, you can't do that. You can't short Apple. It's not going to move enough, and they have way too much cash. But let me see. You skipped over Paul. Oh, sorry, Paul. Hey, Chris is keeping me. See, man, that's why you're an admin. That's why you're an admin, bro. All right, and you're my friend. So let me see here. HNST. I don't know if I already have that. I'm gonna see. Yep, I do. Cool. Oh, the Honest Company. Yeah, yeah. Ooh, wow, they got a little whack here. So they shot up like crazy. Oh, I see. It was really good earnings, and then they just kind of settled back down to earth. But they also came really close to closing their gap, so that's probably a good thing, right? Let's see, because we're above peak volumes all the way through here now. I don't remember what the financials look like. Let's just take a look. And I think we established this was not Jessica Alba, and so I do not care about it for that reason. Um, maybe it was. I don't know. Revenue is slowly trending up, not bad, 10% year over year. I like the fact that Q4 went net positive, and expenses are, I mean, they fell off a cliff recently. That's interesting. Shares outstanding, it looks like there was a little bit of dilution. Forecast shows them dropping again for EPS and net income, and then, but revenue is still kind of like grinding along. It's not crazy. I like the gap here between operating expenses and revenue. I don't hate that. I like the fact that that's widening. 198 employees, specialty retail. My only worry would be is if we had a recession in the future, but I mean, otherwise this isn't too bad. $376 million company. If they could just get positive, right? If they could just show a vision of positive flows, they're not worth a lot. So maybe a couple more quarters where they beat and maybe they don't go negative and surprise to the upside. Like If they can just hit, how often do they hit? The problem is they don't hit, right? Like red, 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 green, green. It's a good sign, but we also went from $1 to 5, so it's already had a decent run. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I don't know about this one. I'd like to see them actually starting to bring in revenue. I think that's going to help them more. Hey Jesse, what's the best time frame to do TA on? I try to stick. People go to these like minute, 5 minute, hour, half an hour, 4 hours as low as I get, and I don't usually even go there anymore. It's usually the daily, and then for longer term trends. So here's the deal: the farther out your time frame is, so like if you're in the daily, that's great, but what does the weekly say? If you're bullish on the daily but the weekly says you're bearish, then maybe you're bullish over the short term, but you're going to roll over and turn bearish. And then if the monthly says it's bearish too, then I'm going with those time frames. I'm going with the weeklies and monthlies, and looking at that for my broader vision, because it gives you a better idea of where you're going to head over the longer term. And that's what you should care about the most when you're investing. The short term is great if it can get you somewhere in a short period of time, but the long term matters the most. So I would, again, daily, weekly, monthly, spend more time there. SoFi options are a no brainer. I mean, dude, like I haven't looked at them recently. I should probably pull some of that up and some of these and show them within the market recap, but I don't know. I think I can get 5x really easy. Well, like 100% move. Maybe I get 500% or something. It doesn't seem like a dumb idea. It might even be better than that now. Thanks, Chris. Yes, thank you, Chris. Big heart. Big heart. All right. I've read that blockchain has the potential to revolutionize EV charging industry. Any thoughts? How? Um, Yeah, I don't see how. There's always narratives. There's probably a coin that ties in with the EV infrastructure, and they've got a narrative that says that blockchain is going to change the world. When you initially start, um, everybody, there's people that, this is really popular. I don't remember if it was last cycle. I think it was the cycle before. Blockchain, not Bitcoin. That was 2017, right? It's like, oh gosh, Bitcoin, no, but the blockchain, that's where it's really at. And so there's terminology like blockchain that was used a lot in the past, but then everybody's like, oh, so like blockchain is a way to store information in a decentralized way, but Bitcoin's a lot more than that, and it's the more important thing, honestly, in the end. So when I hear people talk about blockchain, it kind of draws me back to these old narratives. I wouldn't focus on stuff like that. You know what's going to revolutionize the EV charging infrastructure? Tesla. Tesla's going to. They're going to be one of the biggest companies on earth in the next 5 years. I think that's my opinion. So I would focus on Tesla. I wouldn't focus on any of the other crap. That's my 2 cents. And I think we're at the end of this list, and it's 4:17, so I might get out of here early so I can take my daughter to taekwondo. So thank you guys. I hope you have a great day. I hope everybody did well today, and I will talk to you tomorrow or see you on X. So see you guys later. Bye bye.